Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Week 5 of the After Hours Gaming League, where we're currently seeing Team IBM BTeam battling against Qualcomm in an epic Week 5 balance scale tipper of the ages, where right now the team that is currently down 0-1 is IBM, represented by the blue Zerg in the top left. It's ISO! Look at that! Woo! Yeah! IBM. That is super cool. Down in the bottom right, the man who likes to iterate from Qualcomm. In purple, it's +1. Get it? No! Whoa. The After Hours Gaming League, the Forefront Corporate League by Day 9 TV and Red Bull Gaming, where we try to recall the hard-to-remember days when people played games against each other for fun. It's going to be a Zerg vs. Zerg on Daedalus Point, given the fact that there's these huge, enormously open spaces. This ramp is an impossibility to hold for Zerg for a very long time. Typically, we would see a Zerg do wall-offs with queens, evolution chambers, roach warrens, but this can't happen on this map. The creep spread takes far too long to get out there. As a result, Lings are king on this map. It is a very bold risk to over-drone at the expense of leaving yourself vulnerable to those early lingy counterattackies, so we tend to see early pools with particularly early gases dealing a lot of damage on this here map. ISO, moving up on up. Just checking to make sure that there's nothing too sneaky coming up. Occasionally what a player like ISO will do, a scouting player, is identify that there's no gas and say, aha, I too will delay my own gas and get up an early expansion. And then my scouting drone can be a super annoying blocker. And it looks like that's exactly what ISO has up his sleeve, +1. Uh-oh. Who's gonna lose? Oh my god. Oh my god. I think it's gonna be owned! Oh, ISO. Oh my god. Gets a frowny mouth. ISO. I don't believe it. He's got to run there. I mean, part of me would love to see him go hatch, cancel, evolution chamber, but his deed is done. He's gotten up his hatch sooner. He's gotten up his gas sooner, and now we see Qualcomm, never mind, has his gas up sooner. Zergling speed is going to be arrive-a-thing earlier. Indeed. Now, I hope we see +1 get some sort of +1 upgrade, because then I can just sound silly. We're seeing +1/+1 from +1. Very curious to see if they will be pulling out of gas. Occasionally, players will go, you know what? I don't think that you're actually going to be getting any such speed or any such pressure coming up. You're a defensive-minded dude. I will use this gas to get a 5-minute layer. Getting it at 4 minutes is a little bit too early. You don't quite have the funds to be able to support it. Looks like +1 does have that general mindset in his, in his mind. One player getting speed, the second player getting speed. These two Zergs know exactly what they're doing. ISO. There's a couple of Lings out, not too many. ISO already has a very good vision spread outside the front of the Qualcomm +1's front, but it looks like +1 is wants to be a little bit more monitoring of a consistent line of movement. This is only very useful if you have a player who will be a little sloppy with his Lings. You can run Lings out and down and avoid everything. Give the oh-so-big surprise, but look at this. A defensive Baneling nest from ISO. Excellent position. We're seeing more Lings come up from +1. Is he going to layer right now? That would be a very cool move. But the drone count's very low for +1. It's just Lings. All Lings all the time. My god, so many Lings from +1. It might be an endless stream of Ling Baneling. Now, obviously, we're going to be seeing a lot of Zerglings right now in the game, but Zerglings will continue to be difficult to deal with even around the time of those third bases coming up, because this becomes an incredibly potent counterattack route. And now ISO sees the Lings. He sees Lings. Every which way and every which angle, drones coming up. Oh, a very late Baneling nest from our Qualcomm Zerg, who's stepping up. He's trying to find an opportunity to get up into the main base, and he finds it. This is why Lings are very good in this matchup. And the Qualcomm player +1 ravaging the main base. The Queen, who only wanted to inject She falls immediately. We're starting to see a retreat back to these Banelings. This can be a huge amount of damage. It all depends on +1's ability to avoid these Banelings. Can he avoid the Banelings? Can he avoid the Banelings? Yes. Avoids them very astutely, very nimbly. Pulls all the way back out to the front side. We see in the unit count station is 21 to 13 Ling count. Still lives with +1. Who's going to make like someone doing an impersonation of a rabbit. And he's going to go E and hit his E button. Until he has a whole lot of them. Layer coming up right now for our Qualcomm Zerg +1. Swift layer, but no geysers yet. Not enough drones to support a transition to roaches. It's going to have to be a switch up to them mutas. ISO answering Banelings with Banelings. Or in other words, like a materialistic man, he's going to answer blings with blings. ISO soon enough. Uh-oh. It's time for Baneling versus Baneling. The nonsense. Oh my god! IBMer messes up. IBMer doesn't mess up anymore. He gets a connection. Oh, wow. After an extreme bloodbath, we see that, amazingly, our Blue Zerg player ISO has the drone lead, but has fallen behind in tech. This means that +1 has the opportunity to use some Mutalisks to do the harassing in order to maintain some semblance of a lead in order to secure himself a third base. But the problem +1's going to have is when that transition for ISO to roaches begins. Looks like ISO's beginning to step up into the main base. I'm trying to find some opportunity to deal a little bit of damage to the natural. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, he had a clear line of sight into the main, but you know what? He doesn't want to commit those to dealing an all-in style damage. He wants to be conservative. He wants to be a conservator. Yes, love it. Getting the +1 missile attacks, +1 carapace versus +1 who's going for Spire. Everything's making a whole lot of sense. It's 35 to 35 drones, and soon enough, a third base can arrive for +1. It's a relatively even match. Nothing too far in either player's favor, but I think ISO is wise to try to get that third base up. He needs a creep spread. He also needs a roach warren. I'm kind of amazed that he didn't build one of those, but perhaps he was distracted by himself. ISO, starting to drop the ball, putting those drones into gas. That will be a big edge for him if he can get enough upgrades and roaches to hold ground and apply pressure to the mutas. But I mean, +1 has 6 in gas in his main, has 5 in gas at his expansion, is almost going to be able to have enough for full-on muta assaults. Right now, ISO is not just going to have to consider the upgrades and the roaches and the counter pressure. He's going to have to consider his anti-air defense. This is really going to put him in an uncomfortable position. Ooh, Overseer coming in ISO. I like it. There she goes. ISO's going to get into the main base. He's going to see the last thing he wants to see. I wonder what tech is going to be in here. Well, guess what? The Spire's done! Done Spire is not a fun Spire. ISO's on his way out. Manages to check. He sees the hatch. He sees the hatch. He knows that there's a third base. Well, looks like we're seeing the Spore Crawlers get built. Keep in mind, Spore Crawlers basically fire nuclear missiles against Mutalisks. Hydralisks coming out as well. I'm really liking the way ISO is set up. I mean, he's in a good position. He has so many drones here. He has so many good upgrades here. He's the spores in reasonable positions. Is really going to come up to these Lings. Remember, Lings are king for a long time on this map. And it looks like ISO recognizes this as well, building a tremendous amount of Lings in this circumstance. To try to be maneuverable, to try to be able to keep these unjoined creep-together spaces alive. But there's a big opportunity for some big hits. Oh my god, he's just target firing. Oh my god. He's just going for it. He's going all in on the hatch. He's going to get it. Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? No way. Oh my god. This is the opposite of success. Unbelievable. Oh my god. Oh my god. She loved the corsage. He bought her a dress, and at the end of dinner, as she's finishing dessert, she said, "You're a great friend." At the last second, finding out what a disaster he's worked himself into. The lead is clearly with our friend from IBM ISO. We don't even see this expansion being used at all. +1 is realized he's in a very rough position. He is continuing to build Banelings, which I like. They're an excellent tool against the hydralisk that are 1-1. ISO needs to get some roaches in there. The opposite of success. A failure, we may very well call it. No gas here. No gas here. Alright. Looks like +1. +1. Just trying to deal a little bit of harassy damage. The Lings, the all-in Lings. All-in Lings. I know where they're going. But are there Banelings to defend it? There's the range upgrade. There's the +2. Still no gas. Ah! This is going to be very... This is going to be very thin. It's going to be a thin advantage. We see that ISO has his Banelings with his Hydras. He really needs to have his Banelings with the Zerglings. Uh-oh. Oh my god. This could be another opportunity for success or failure. Oh god. Oh my god. At the end of dinner, he said, "No, that's totally cool. I understand. Maybe I could take you out on a friend date again." And she's like, "Oh, I'd love that. I want to tell you about this other guy I'm into." Oh god. Disastrous failure again. On the right side, we see that +1 is getting himself a +4, a 4th base. A transition to roaches, I think, seems wise in this circumstance, given the fact that he's seen largely Lings and Hydras from his opponent. A surprise switch to roaches could also cause +1 to get another opportunity for a win here. But we're seeing ISO switch into roaches himself. He's looking to be in a good spot, the IBM BTeamer. Really setting himself up successfully. Except for the fact that he's not getting any gas. That's a little bit problematic. After continued injects, continued drone count, let's see what a comparison of the economy looks like. 53 to 58, let's talk about big picture stuff, shall we? Getting this 4th base up for +1 is his desperation play. He knows he's quite behind and can have an opportunity to come back, but he's going to only be able to do it in one of two ways. By surprising his opponent with way more roaches and potentially getting, some big ol' hits with the Infestas. ISO is going to be relying on his upgrades once he gets his... Well, it looks like this is going to be the big restricting upgrade. Once he gets the muscular augments, he's going to be able to apply a lot of big pressure with big pushes. ISO's looking for a key break. If he can get an expansion and maybe an opportunity for the main, he'll go for it, but is just looking for a big push to deal some crippling damage so that he can deal a follow-up push to stay alive. But +1 knows that any single push with any amount of strength is going to kill him. So ISO... So +1 is looking for that counterattack opportunity, but man, ISO's like, "No, you are not going to kill this off. I'm literally going to wall myself in." Swarm Host, interesting choice for +1. Again, it's another one of those efficiency value units. If he can get up to a critical mass, maybe he can stay alive. But, I mean, we're seeing +1 take huge risks right now, going for Swarm Hosts and Zergling and missile upgrades and a 4th base, building even more drones. Why would he do this? Because he knows he's in a tight spot, and he's just going to hang on. +2 Carapace might be the trigger for ISO to move out with this almost max Roach Hydra army. And I think that +1 didn't have enough time. He didn't buy himself enough time. He didn't kill off that 3rd base. Ugh, a gruesome reality. Here comes ISO. Oh my gosh, the Banelings in middle could be tremendous. We're seeing the roaches step right into the middle of the fray. This is not a close fight whatsoever. The Hydras rip apart the roaches rip apart the roaches. There's Banelings still there saying, "Is there anything that I can rip apart?" Well played, good game. It's tied up. Team IBM manages not to let a shutout occur in any way. Team IBM manages to take the win and bring the series to 1-1, which means that you and me are going to go to a break, because when we return, this match will be all tied up in the After Hours Gaming League. I hope you're having fun, because we take fun very seriously at Day 9 TV.